Homework for Tuesday. Number 1. Which fractions are equivalent to 3/4? So the key word here is equivalent, meaning which numbers could equal 3/4? They could be reduced, or you can cross multiply. So cross multiplying helps you think about this. So I think of 2/8. So I think, is it closer to 0, 1/2, or 1/2? It's closer to 0. So I can already tell they're not going to be equivalent. So I can cross multiply and check. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So I know there's a big difference between those. But if we use our strategies and think, what is this closest to, it might help us eliminate some answers. Okay, 12/16. Is it closer to 0, 1/2, or 1/2? Well, it's kind of close to 1/2, but it's greater than 1/2, so let's see. Let's compare. We can cross multiply. 4 times 12. Solving that up here. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4. Cross multiply was 16 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4, so 48. So both of those are equivalent to each other. Because 12/16 can also be reduced. They can both be divided by 2, which would give me 16 divided by 2 would be 8. 6/8 can be divided again and reduced. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, so we just reduced this to 6/8. And look at here, here's 6/8. We just reduced that. If we divide both of these by 2/2, we get 3/4, which is equivalent. 6/12, well, 6 is half of 12, so that makes that equivalent to 1/2, which means it is not equivalent to 3/4. Next division question, 735 divided by 5. So, make my little cheat sheet here and start solving. But I'm already starting to analyze this problem. This ends in a 5, which tells me there's not going to be a remainder, because all multiples of 5 end in 5 or 0. So I'm going to have an exact answer with no remainders. So I'm going to fill in my cheat sheet with all my 5s, because that's my divisor. 5 times 20 is 100, 250, 500. So the first big chunk I can take out is 100 groups of 5. 100 groups of 5 equals 500. Subtract that out. 5 minus 0 is 5. 3 minus 0 is 3. 7 minus 5 is 2. What's close to 235 without going over? Well, I see here 5 times 50 is 250. Too big, but maybe I can do another number between 20 and 50. So let's try 50 times 30. 150. And maybe that's too small, so I can keep going. 50 times 40. 200. So let's do that. 40 groups of 5 equals 200. I can subtract that out. 5 minus 0 is 5. 3 minus 0 is 3. 2 minus 2 is 0. Now I should be able to know off the top of my head, how many times can 5 go into 35? Well, if you skip count by 5s, you can get 7. 7 times 5 is 35. And I get down to my happy zeros. Yay! Which means there's no remainder. Add up my sidebar numbers, I get 147. So here's showing it traditionally. Cover up your whole numbers. 5 can go into 7 how many times? Once. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract that out, you get 2. Bring down your 3. How many times can 5 go into 23? Think about 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 5 times 3, 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 5 is 25, too big. Subtract 23 minus 20, you get 3. Bring down your 5. How many times can 5 go into 35? 7 times. Subtract that out and you get happy zeros too. Yay! Next question. What is the sum of 1/12 plus 3/8? So I notice they have different denominators, which means I'm going to have to find the common denominator to add these up, because that's what sum means. So I have 1/12 plus 3/8. Skip count by 8. 8, 16, 24, 12, 24. There's my new denominator. Set that up. How did I get from 12 to 24? Multiplied by 2. Now 1 times 2 is 2. How did I get from 8 to 24? Multiplied by 3. Do the same thing to my numerator. 3 times 3 is 9. Now I add these numbers together. Denominator stays the same. 9, 10, 11. 11/24 is the sum of 1/12 plus 3/8. Can it be reduced? No, it cannot. The GCF is 1. All right, this one says shade 1/3 of the stars. How many stars are shaded? It says hint, there's 4 equal groups, but I wrote that wrong because the denominator is 3, so there's 3 equal groups. So you're thinking, how could you split this where you have 3 equal groups? Well, there's my 3 equal groups. If I color one group in, how many stars are shaded in? Social studies. What document was a plan for the government? It's still around today. Number 2, what document was for Virginians and stated that they can worship as they please? Worship talks about, your religion and what you choose. What document gave the freedom of religion, freedom of press, and freedom of speech? So this document was for Virginians and listed lots of rights that they had.